Hey everyone, a little figure drawing lesson today. Let's talk about how to draw and paint abs. That's right, six packs. When we say someone has a six pack, we're referring to the rectus abdominis. It's a pretty huge muscle. So grab a skeleton, make sure the price tag is still on it. The rectus abdominis spans this entire empty area, a good half the torso at least. So this part of the ribcage, where the ribs flare out, that's called the thoracic arch. Now, the rectus abdominis technically originates from the ribs up here, but for practical drawing purposes, I like to think of it as stemming from the thoracic arch, because that's where it starts to really influence the form. Anyway, from there, it comes all the way down, right to the, further than you think. That's the rectus abdominis. For context, the belly button is about here. All right, the rectus abdominis is divided into 8 sections. This is the topmost division. Notice it mimics the arch of the thoracic arch, only a little less steep. These are inbuilt rhythms of the abdomen. Here's the next division, still an arch, but even less steep now. Here's the next division, fanning out from the top. This one finally approaches a straight line. And a handy landmark is it shoots right through the belly button. Now, the entire rectus abdominis is bisected vertically, right down the middle. By the way, those white intersection lines are all tendinous regions of the muscle. All right, so now we can count each segment. I'm skipping the top 2 for now, because when we describe someone as having a six-pack, these are the 6 segments we're seeing. Every now and then, this top section makes it look like an 8-pack. That's a little more rare, though. Each of these regions has form, and these would be the lumps of each individual ab. Although saying ab is not how anatomists would talk, but anyway, the rectus abdominis, given some form, looks something like this. And it's this group of 4 that makes the most pronounced form when someone has chiseled abs. You will see the bottom form as well, but it defines itself more as a gentle plane change. And again, the upper 2 segments could form an 8-pack, such as Alexander Skarsgård's abs in Tarzan. His top 2 segments are more visible than usual. Anyway, with just the knowledge we've gone over so far, we can do a study. This is the ribcage I'm blocking in, getting the thoracic arch, stemming out from the base of the sternum. Now, here in red is where I'll start the shape of the rectus abdominis, and I'll bring that way down, judging proportion as I do. These landmarks here are the top of the hips, the iliac crest, and they go well above the bottom of the rectus abdominis. And I do like to block in the belly button as well, which helps with the divisions. And here come those divisions now. Just kind of fanning them out down from the thoracic arch, and with white, I'll reinforce that these are flat, tendinous regions. All right, now giving the rectus abdominis some form, addressing each little region separately, which is easy to do thanks to those tendinous separations. And I'm going to take a couple seconds to show a bit more of the body, just so we can better appreciate the context of this muscle. Okay, now, of course, not everyone has super ripped rectus abdominises. So here I'm roughing in a less muscularly developed figure, something more indicative of what you'd see in most references, I think. Okay, so here's the thoracic arch, which makes this entire region the rectus abdominis. It's like a muscular pad. It twists and folds with the pose. Now, while we won't see the 8 divisions in this figure, I do want to track this midline as it travels down the muscle vertically, going over the form. But speaking of those divisions, you sometimes will see a plane change here, where the rectus abdominis kind of takes over from the ribcage. You'll also typically see a plane change at the lower section, which is like a little shelf. It goes out before turning down. I'll rough that in with a soft-edged value here. All right, we're not done with the rectus abdominis, but let's look at the second muscle that makes up our abdomen, the external obliques. The word oblique refers to them being on the side, and indeed they flank the rectus abdominis. I'm going to continue this drawing from earlier, just completing some of the contours so we can all see what the torso is doing here. All right, so the external obliques also come up into the ribcage here, traveling right up alongside the rectus abdominis, and I'll quickly color code them. And for this lesson, I'm mostly interested in what the obliques are doing in the lower half. The muscle fibers are flayed out diagonally like this, a similar kind of fanning action as the rectus abdominis had, although in a different direction now. And there is a hefty amount of tendon in this muscle. It kind of lines the perimeter. This really helps to visually separate the obliques from the rectus abdominis. In fact, in my illustration here, notice how I'm using some harder edges and different type of brushwork to indicate the hardness of tendon and difference in muscle. I want to look at that abtastic section from K-pop Demon Hunters. Before I do though, I'm going to go ahead and drop my new figure drawing class real quick. The human figure has always been at the heart of art and visual storytelling, but drawing it can feel intimidating. In my course, Total Guide to Figure Drawing, I'll show you how to go from quick, expressive gestures to fully realized figures with structure, volume, and light. You'll first learn how to capture the feel of a figure, the rhythm, the weight, the movement, all of which lead to convincing and lifelike poses. You'll then learn how to build structure on top of that by being able to visualize 3D forms in real perspective. There is, of course, a lot of anatomy beneath the surface, and you need to know that too. We go through the body section by section, dissecting each major area, muscles, bones, and muscle groups. You'll learn things you may have never known about the human body, and how to implement those things into your figure drawings. Overall, I think many artists get caught up in copying reference, without recognizing all that's there for us to learn and understand and use. Through clear lessons, chapters, and assignments, this course will help elevate your quick sketches as well as your more refined finished work. So join me for Total Guide to Figure Drawing, and let's turn drawing the figure into something you feel excited and confident about. You can find the course at marcobucciartstore.com. Okay, back to the abs in K-pop Demon Hunters. This is done really well. I'll find the base of the sternum and work out the thoracic arch. It's useful to find the top of the hips too, the iliac crest, because the obliques kind of sit on it. All right, in this reference, it's pretty easy to trace out the shape of the rectus abdominis. I mean, those abs are right in our face. And just a reminder, it does attach up here in the ribs. You just don't see that area of the muscle so much. I'm going to throw in the tendinous regions here so that I can give some form to each individual section, remembering to give the most pronounced form to the middle section. And here's the tendinous area coming in for the external obliques. Again, right up against the hip bone. And then I'll color code in those external obliques, indicating the diagonal fanning direction of the muscle fibers. All right, just gonna end off the lesson with some rapid fire drawings here. I'm gonna speed run through this first one, because we've been dissecting poses like this already, but I added a little bit of a crunch to the torso, just to show you how the abdominals react to that kind of thing. They can bend and stretch right along with the pose. Notice that lower section shelf form that's really prominent here. Don't forget that part. It's an essential transition into the pelvic area. All right, let's do another one. And in this one, I want to show you how the abs can really stretch, specifically the rectus abdominis. We've got a leaned back torso here, blocking in some overall shapes and forms first. And here's the rectus abdominis stretching like it's made of latex or something. Now that stretch will inherently flatten out the individual sections. So in this kind of pose, you might not see the muscle bellies as much, but you're more likely to see the flat tendon part pressing up against the skin. And keep in mind, these are all on pretty lean models. Obviously, body fat can build up in this area, which can hide, well, all of this. Okay, let's do another one. In this one, I'm gonna go for a more cartoony style, inspired by Disney's Tarzan. So once again, the shape of the torso is in there, but with a cartoon, I have to be really picky and choosy as to what I draw here. So here's the thoracic arch, and that is a center line showing the overall geometry of the rectus abdominis. That's it, that gets the job done. And to close off here, let's veer more academic with this one to contrast the more cartoony drawing. It's always good to understand both. I'm looking at a Renaissance sculpture for reference here, and it has a significant bend to the pose. You know, it's squashed on the left and stretched on the right. And that's an interesting challenge because the individual segments in the rectus abdominis have to squash and stretch along with it. To solve that, I'm using the same fanning action that we've seen a few times already. My tendinous regions are kind of trending like this. And notice throughout this video, I've been pretty reserved with not overdoing the form with each segment. Just keep in mind that even the most super ripped abs are not like tennis balls. They're more like a series of flapjacks. So indicating a little bit of form really goes a long way. And that'll bring me to the end of this study and this lesson. So go forth and put some abs on your characters. And check out marcobucciartstore.com for my new course, Total Guide to Figure Drawing.